Hello, and welcome to Forefront's Back to School 2025 Getting Started for Teachers quick intro. So, the first thing I'm going to start with is logging in, and that's going to vary by district how you log in. Most of our districts at this point have Clever or ClassLink, so if you're using one of those to log in with your secure sign-on, you're going to access your Clever or ClassLink and then use the Forefront icon to log in. If you're someone who's logging in through our regular website, that address is app.forefront.education/login. And if you have any issues with logging in, you may check in with your IT team first, but you can also email us at support@forefront.education, and we will either help you or route you back to your IT team, depending on who can get things set up for you. So that's logging in. We're going to imagine that you've gone ahead and logged in, and I'm going to click over to Forefront. I'm here in a demo account for first grade, and if you have one class, this is the first view that you're going to see when you log in. If you happen to have more than one class, you're going to be popped into this Classes tab, and you're just going to select the class that you want to view. When you're first logging into Forefront here, we're looking at our overview page. We can see that this is in the state. You're probably going to see it at the beginning of the year. We've got no data entered yet for these first graders. Quick plug, and one of the things that's great about Forefront is these are fake first graders, and they actually have, if I go back here, some kindergarten data. So as you collect data in Forefront, just know that rolls year over year, so that historic data can be analyzed. But back to first grade, let's click through that path to enter data for the first time. So depending where you're entering that data, you're going to click on the proper program tab. These tabs across the top are what we call programs. I'm going to demo with Universal Screener since a lot of folks are using that. I click in here. The way my account's configured, I've got fall, mid-year, and spring. You might, and I'm going to pop over here for an example, have different what we call parts. So if there is that additional part, you're just going to do one extra click to get to the right assessment. So back to here, I'm going to select the assessment that makes sense to enter data for and click that. That takes me into the spreadsheet. And that's where I'm going to enter data. It looks kind of like a regular spreadsheet. And I'm going to go ahead and enter a score. When I enter my first score, I'm prompted to enter a date for this assessment. The dates are important in Forefront because of the way that we honor standards-based grading best practices by weighting more recent data more heavily. So try to be generally accurate with that date. I'm going to say it's July 15th. And once I've done that, I'm ready to proceed and to continue to enter data. I'm entering some fake data here. You'll see a couple things on this sidebar that I want to hit. So I can always see that standards alignment. I can see proficiency scores. I've got a rubric there if I want to see them. One of the other nice things is I've got those next steps for support if you're using a program that has that configured. Let's say, like I am right now, I'm on a small screen and I want that sidebar out of the way. You'll see here in the lower right, I can click and collapse that sidebar, which also if you get it collapsed and you want it back out, you can click that to get that data back. Couple shortcuts for us when we're entering data. Let's say I have a student who really did well overall, only missed one score. On this three-dot menu by the student's name, I am going to have some options, but this is an important thing because it's going to be new for our users this year. If I'm in the summary page, I need to go to the actual date. So now I'm in that July 3rd or July 15th. You'll see I have the option to set empty scores to ... So in this case, let's say I had a student who did really well. I'm going to set those to max score. So it kind of autofills those for me. Let's say, unfortunately, I had a student who didn't do as well, and I can set those scores to the minimum score, and then maybe they got one or two right, and I can go in and change that. You can also right-click to do that by the question, or let's say you're just filling in some of the scores, and then you want to set those empty scores. You can also do it for the whole spreadsheet. So That's a few shortcuts. And as you saw, we have to be in that date tab just to make sure that you're filling in data for the correct place. So, a couple other things here I want to hit briefly as you're getting yourself oriented to Forefront. Up here in the upper right is where we click the reports, and this will take me to the reporting suite. I'm going to go ahead and click into question analysis here, and I can see the different reports that are associated with the data that I just entered. Lots to do in here. Don't be afraid to click around in Forefront, but I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm just going to show you that one click. If you're doing assessment like the Universal Screeners, where it is an interview type assessment, I can also click the interview tab and I can be working with students and kind of entering data here as I go. If I fill things out here, when I go back to the spreadsheet, it will populate that data. So, little helpful thing. Again, that interview tool is most helpful with assessments that have been set up as interview because they have that. All right, so now when I go back to my overview, you're going to see that some students are going to start to have data because I've entered data for those students. If I want to understand how that student got that score, I can always click the proficiency and kind of dig in and see those type of questions. The main memo here is don't be afraid to click around in Forefront. It's very hard to break things. And then another really great tool in Forefront that I want you to be aware of is if I click the name of the student, it will take me to what we call the student wheel. So this is a tool that allows you to see a holistic view of the student's learning, whether you're looking at math, ELA, or SEL, whatever you might be looking at. I can see here how that student is doing on particular components of the standards that you're looking at. So similar to the body of evidence in the overview, don't be afraid to click around, see what questions that student is missing or getting. And then as you work throughout the year, this wheel is going to fill out more and you're going to have a really robust data set that can reinforce any standards-based grading you're doing, any asset-based thinking you're doing, any of that type of thing. I'll remind you as well, if you are someone who has historic data in our system, you can drop back and see previous wheels. The default is that there's a filter, but I can cancel that off and go look and see how that student did on things in the year prior. So another place to see that historic data. There's lots to do in Forefront, so don't be afraid to go click around in those help docs, tune in for our other webinars, but this is just a brief overview to get you started as you log in, enter data, take advantage of the sidebar, and understand where to click and see reports as well as that student wheel. Best of luck in your back to school. And again, if you do have questions or issues, don't hesitate to reach out to support@forefront.education, and we'll be happy to help you out. Best wishes for back to school.